Hello everyone and welcome back to another movie review. Today is one I'm very excited about because I just watched this and I really enjoyed it. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Grand Budapest Hotel. I think this is my first Wes Anderson film. I might have seen Fantastic Mr. Fox in theaters a while ago, but I've been hearing from my friends to watch Wes Anderson, and I finally went and saw this, and it is basically everything that I like in movies. And oh my gosh, it was great fun the entire time. So let's start off with a little summary. So the story starts off with a girl in a graveyard with a book at the bust of a famous author. Then we get a flashback to the author who is old and doing an interview. And he does his interview for a little while, and then we get a flashback again to his his younger days, not childhood. He's like 30 or something like that. And he is in the Grand Budapest Hotel, and he meets a strange old man whose name turns out to be Zero Mustafa, and he is the owner of the Grand Budapest Hotel. So then from that, when they start talking, we get another flashback. This is the Wait, one, two, three. This is the fourth flashback layer. If I'm getting that wrong, disregard me. But and we get the story of the Grand Budapest Hotel, how Zero came to get it, and all the adventures he had with his friend and colleague, Mr. Gustav, who it was the old owner of the Grand Budapest Hotel. And that is where the majority of our story happens. Actually, probably like 98% of it or something like that. No, that's too high. About 90% of the story. But because this is all a series of flashbacks, we do get a narrator through the author who doesn't actually have a name. Just author on IMDb and stuff like that. Man, it's a crazy story. There's adventure, there's romance, there's suspense, there's mystery. It's a lot of things jammed into one, but it works really well. And if you haven't seen it, just trust me, this is probably one of the better multi-genre movies that it works. So, again, with the layers of story, I really appreciated that because it made it slightly more complex. They could have just made it a story about a guy in a hotel, but they decided to add 2 or 3 layers on top of that, and for no reason, it doesn't really change the story. The graveyard level doesn't really change the story, but it really ends up making quite a bit more interesting. So, all right, things I look for in movies: memorable scenes, memorable characters. Great color is just a plus, and I've said I love color in movies, and this did that in spades. And good editing as well. And this has editing, color, characters, and scenes, and as well as a great story that goes through the entire thing. The color in this movie is absolutely ridiculous. Everything is bright or purple. They've got yellow. They've got red. It's like some pinkish gradients sometimes. Everything's got a color. Everything pops out, and it makes the world feel slightly quirky, which is great because it's just like a little off. And the editing is very fast-paced when it needs to be, but then sometimes they stop the fast-paced editing and they just let the camera pan. Very impressive panning shots, just following someone down a corridor or going above. They also use miniatures every once in a while for the hotel, and there's a skiing scene, which I'm basically sure that it's miniatures. And that felt really natural, surprisingly. And oh my gosh, another thing that this movie has, which surprised me and I loved, is it has an incredible cast. I mean, Jeff Goldblum, Bill Murray shows up for a little bit. And I love Bill Murray, but Jeff Goldblum, Ed Norton is in there, Owen Wilson for a little bit, William Dafoe, who's great in this. He's got his brass knuckles and he's ready to punch someone. Jason Schwartzman, who I just like. He's not in there very much, but he's good. And also the two main guys, who the actors I didn't recognize, but they were also great. Amazing performances from both of them, from Zero and Gustav. So, great cast, great color, great scenes. Let's see, what else can I talk? The characters, that was the next thing I was going to get to. The characters in this movie are also incredible because each one of them has their own little quirk. And like I talked about in Kill Bill, when every small side character has their own quirk or has something that you can recognize them by, it makes the whole world feel more fleshed out. My voice just went funny. But it makes the whole world feel coherent because it's incoherent. And that's what's great about this, is because everyone has just something a little off about them. So you remember it, and you go back to something, or you see William Dafoe's character's brass knuckles, you automatically recognize that it's him, or you see the purple suits that Zero and Gustav have, and it's really, really great character design. So there's only two things that I could say were minuses on this movie. This is a plus and a minus at the same time. This movie is filled with fast-paced dialogue, especially in certain scenes. They just go bam, 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 bam. And it's great because it gets the point across, and it also feels like they're in a rush, which sometimes they are because it's like they're in danger. But it's also sometimes very hard to understand. They talk so incredibly fast that it's just zips right by you, and sometimes you don't even know what's going to happen. Catch small snippets, but that's not enough. And my other negative is sometimes the accents don't match up, or in fact, almost never. The accents almost never match up. The Grand Budapest Hotel is in a small country called Dubrovka, which obviously doesn't exist. But because of this, it sort of doesn't have that much of its own identity, the country at least. The characters have strong American accents, or when Gustav talks, he has a pretty thick British accent, and it's really confusing. I guess that's just another quirk that the world has, but not one that I really appreciated, because it makes the world feel a little less coherent through its incoherence. But that's just something. The characters' voices, their dialogue, and all that is great, but sometimes the accents don't match up. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to end there because that's all the notes that I have. But I promise you, this movie is worth every moment. I was engrossed the entire time. I didn't even check the time once. I usually do that with movies. I check to see how much longer it is going, even if it's one of my favorite movies. But this has transcended that and just become so fast-paced and witty and funny and interesting and quirky that I loved every moment. So this is a 5 out of 5 movie in my book. Ticks every mark for great movie, and you have to see this, honestly. If you're a film fan or you just want a great movie, you have to go see this movie. So I'm giving it 5 stars. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I will see you guys in another video. Bye.